Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. We are starting with chapter Chemical Coordination and Integration. It is the last chapter of class 11 biology and it is a part of zoology, human physiology. So, uh, what we know about chemical coordination and integration? Basically, before this chapter, here's a chapter about neural control and coordination. So, here, chemical coordination and integration means it is the coordination between the hormones and the hormone secreting cells or the glands, and how they are transported in our body and what are their functions. We will be knowing about some basic hormones like thyroid hormones and the growth hormones and what are the disorders related to them. So let's start our chapter. It is basically the architecture of human endocrine network. What is neural system? Neural system is wired coordination, and we can say endocrine system is our wireless broadcasting, because here the hormones reaches with the blood, and whereas the neural system have their own wiring in our body, like all the nerves are wired in our body, and uh, sending the stimulus and the responses to different organs. So neural system is point to point and it is rapid and short-lived coordination. It is direct innervation and does not reach all cells. All cells तक nerves नहीं पहुंच सकते हैं, and that's why we talk about the endocrine system. Basically, the neural system and the endocrine system work together to run our body effectively. So, endocrine system is the wireless broadcasting, broadly distributed, is slower, long-lasting integration, signals travel via bloodstream to specific receivers. एंडोक्राइन सिस्टम में भी हमारे पास काफ़ी सारे रिसीवर्स होते हैं. लाइक ऐसे नॉर्मली कोई भी हार्मोन कहीं भी एक्ट नहीं कर सकता है. They have some stimulating hormones also for secreting a particular hormone, some inhibiting hormones, and they also have the receptors for these to act and perform their function. So the modern definition of a hormone, they are the non-nutrient chemicals. Remember, they are non-nutrient chemicals which act as intercellular messengers and are produced in trace amount. They are produced in very few amount, but their function is very vast and they are slow and but they have the long-lasting integration. Let's see the endocrine map of our body. So we will be talking about some basic hormones like the pineal gland secreting the hormone melatonin, which regulates our diurnal rhythm or the sleep-wake cycle. Talking about hypothalamus, it is the master of the master gland, whereas the pituitary is called the master gland. So hypothalamus is called the master of master gland because hypothalamus controls the pituitary hormones by secreting the inhibitory or releasing hormones like the GnRH, growth hormone releasing hormone. And talking about pituitary, it is present in a bony cavity called the sella turcica. Talking about thyroid and parathyroid. Thyroid is present ventrally and parathyroid is present dorsally. Thyroid are 2 in number and parathyroid are 4 in number. Thymus. Thymus gland is for immunity. Basically, it is for immunity, and we will be learning that thymus gland degenerates with the age. These all characters we will be learning, and we will also be learning about the hormones secreted by these glands and what are their functions, what are their deficiency symptoms, and what are the disorders due to excess of these hormones. Talking about adrenal gland, it is present superior to the kidney. Before this, in the previous NCRT, it was written it is present in the anterior of the kidney, but now it is written it is present on the superior of the kidney. Talking about pancreas, pancreas also have the exocrine part and the endocrine part. There is the 99% of the part is exocrine, only 1% part of the pancreas is endocrine, and it is also having the islets of Langerhans cells and the alpha cells, beta cells, and the delta cells. Talking about ovary, which are present in females, it is also a primary sex organ, and because it secretes a hormone also. And testes in male, these are also the primary sex organs. Alongside these primary nodes, the heart, kidney, liver, GI tract also produce essential hormone signals. Whereas these are not completely the endocrine glands, but these also secrete some amount of hormones, different type of hormones. Like kidney secretes renin, and liver secretes various enzymes in the hormones. Our heart secretes ANF. Moving ahead, talking about hypothalamus. It is the master switchboard. We have already talked that hypothalamus is the master of the master gland. It is the master of the pituitary gland. So hypothalamus is located at the basal part of the diencephalon. It is a line to remember. It contains neurosecretory nuclei that secrete hormone to regulate the pituitary gland. So it contains the neurosecretory nuclei and to regulate the pituitary gland. So hypothalamus basically consists of two types of hormones, the releasing hormones and the inhibiting hormones. Releasing hormones stimulate the pituitary secretion like the GnRH, stimulates gonadotropin release, and inhibiting hormone suppresses the pituitary secretion like the somatostatin, which inhibits the growth hormone release. And GHRH, growth hormone releasing hormone, stimulates the growth hormone release. Talking about pituitary, it is the dual delivery system. It consists of two parts, the adenohypophysis, which is present anteriorly, and the neurohypophysis, which is present posteriorly. Anatomically, pituitary gland is divided into two chambers, the anterohypophysis and the neurohypophysis. Comprises pars distalis, pars intermedia. Pars distalis and pars intermedia are contain the adenohypophysis. These are regulated via the portal circulatory system carrying signals from the hypothalamus. It is a must line to remember. Like portal circulatory system जो होता है that carries the signal from the hypothalamus to the pituitary and majorly to the anterior pituitary. Whereas the posterior pituitary, that is known as the neurohypophysis, also known as the pars nervosa, it is under the direct neural regulation, receiving axon terminals directly from the hypothalamic neurons. Talking about anterior pituitary, it is called pars distalis, and anterior pituitary consists of pars distalis and pars intermedia. Pars distalis secretes a growth hormone. It stimulates the general body growth. Prolactin regulates mammary gland growth and milk formation. Mammary gland growth and the milk formation. Whereas oxytocin, we will be talking about oxytocin from the posterior pituitary, which is stored in the posterior pituitary but secreted by the hypothalamus. And oxytocin is not the milk forming hormone, it is a milk ejecting hormone. And also the contraction of the smooth muscles for the delivery. So TSH. Talking about TSH, it is thyroid stimulating hormone. It triggers the synthesis and secretion of the thyroid hormones. Talking about ACTH, adrenocorticotropic hormone, it stimulates the glucocorticoids secretion from the adrenal cortex. We have you may be knowing about the adrenal gland is divided into two parts, adrenal cortex and adrenal medulla, whereas the adrenal cortex is divided into glomerulosa, reticularis, and fasciculata. So, glucocorticoids are secreted from the layer of the adrenal cortex. So, ACTH hormone stimulates the glucocorticoid secretion. Talking about LH, and what is example of glucocorticoid? It is cortisol. Cortisol is a very important hormone for our metabolism also. Talking about luteinizing hormone, LH induces ovulation and maintains corpus luteum, stimulates testicular androgens. In females, it induces the ovulation and maintains corpus luteum. In males, it stimulates the testicular androgens secreted from the Leydig cells. Talking about FSH, follicular stimulating hormone, stimulates ovarian follicle development and regulates the spermatogenesis, formation of the sperms. Pars intermedia, the second part of the pars distalis, the anterior pituitary. After the pars distalis, it is pars intermedia. Pars intermedia secrete only one hormone, that is MSH, melanocyte stimulating hormone. It regulates the skin pigmentation. Moving ahead, let's talk about the growth hormone pathologies. So, talking about low secretion of growth hormone in childhood, it will cause pituitary dwarfism. So, what do you understand by dwarfism? It means the height will be small. It doesn't only mean the physical growth will be stunted. It results in the stunted physical growth, but also delayed development. Uh, Talking about over-secretion of the growth hormone in the childhood, it causes gigantism, and it causes the abnormal extreme longitudinal growth of the body. Whereas the over-secretion of the growth hormone in the adulthood or the middle age, it will cause acromegaly. Like we talk, a famous person having acromegaly. Yes, you all are very aware of that famous person. That is the great Kali. He is having the acromegaly. It results in the severe disfigurement, especially of the face. Hard to diagnose early can lead to premature death if unchecked. Moving ahead, what are the storage and timing posterior pituitary and the pineal gland? So, talking about the storage about the posterior pituitary hormones, and the timing we will be talking related to the pineal gland. Posterior pituitary, it stores only. Hormones are synthesized by the hypothalamus. Like I have talked in the previous slides, that oxytocin is only stored in the posterior pituitary, the neurohypophysis, whereas the oxytocin is secreted by the hypothalamus. Oxytocin stimulates smooth muscle contraction during the parturition or the birth, and vigorous uterine contraction during birth, and the milk ejection. Milk formation hormone was mammary gland, and the milk formation was done by prolactin, which is secreted from the anterior pituitary, whereas oxytocin is for the parturition, during birth, the uterine contraction, and the milk ejection. Whereas the vasopressin, the second hormone secreted by stored by the posterior pituitary, that is the ADH, antidiuretic hormone or the vasopressin. It triggers the kidney resorption of water and electrolytes. Impairment causes dehydration and water loss. Diabetes insipidus. Diabetes insipidus is basically the water loss and the dehydration. So it is caused by the dehydration, and the water loss can be caused by the impairment in the vasopressin release. Because antidiuretic hormone, which means it is opposite to the diuresis. It doesn't help in the diuresis. So it will help in the reabsorption. Whereas its impairment will cause the dehydration and the water loss. It is the diabetes insipidus condition. Talking about the pineal gland, it is located on the dorsal side of the forebrain. It secretes the melatonin hormone. It regulates the 24-hour diurnal rhythm, sleep-wake cycle, body temperature, and it influences it regulates the sleep-wake cycle and the body temperature. It influences the metabolism, pigmentation, menstrual cycle, and the defense capabilities. So, talking about the thyroid gland. Thyroid gland is a metabolic entry because it regulates the metabolism. Anatomy, talking about the anatomy of the thyroid gland, it consists of the two lobes interconnected by a thin connective tissue flap, that is the isthmus, composed of the follicles and the stromal tissues, and output. It synthesizes tetraiodothyronine, T4-thyroxine, and the triiodothyronine. Tetraiodothyronine, that is the T4, and the triiodothyronine is the T3. Iodine is an essential micronutrient for the normal synthesis rate. So deficiency of iodine will cause the deficiency in the secretion of the thyroid gland, and it will cause the enlargement of the goiter. So function is to regulate the basal metabolic rate and support the red blood cell formation, that is the erythropoiesis. That process is called erythropoiesis. And it controls the metabolism of the carbohydrate, protein and the fats. It also maintains the water and electrolyte balance. So thyroid gland is the metabolic engine of our body. Clinical presentation, the thyroid pathologies. Hypothyroidism. So as you can see, this weighing machine, it is showing the downwards position here. That means there is the deficiency. It is the deficiency. Here the weight is less. So it is the deficiency of the thyroid gland, and it is due to the iodine deficiency. This condition is called hypothyroidism. In adults, it is shown by the enlargement of the gland goiter and irregular menstrual cycles. So irregular menstrual cycle and enlargement of the goiter, enlargement of the thyroid gland, that is the goiter, is caused in the adult due to the hypothyroidism. Whereas in pregnancy causes defective fetal development, that condition is called the cretinism, leading to the stunted growth, mental retardation, low IQ, and the deaf mutism. So, in case of pregnancy, if there is deficiency of the iodine that is causing the hypothyroidism, this condition is called the cretinism. It causes the defective fetal development, leading to the stunted growth, mental retardation, low IQ, and the deaf mutism. Whereas we talked about the growth hormone, so deficiency of the growth hormone in the child causes the dwarfism. Where is the pituitary dwarfism? There is only the stunted growth and retarded development. Whereas here it causing the fetal developmental defect and also leading to stunted growth along with the mental retardation, low IQ, and the deaf mutism. Talking about hyperthyroidism, here the thyroid hormone is producing in more amount. Abnormally high levels of synthesis and secretion. It is basically due to the cancer or the nodules. Basically the hyperdivision of the thyroid gland. So causing the hyper release of the thyroid hormones. It is basically the Graves' disease. So Graves' disease is also known as exophthalmic goiter. It is characterized by enlargement of the thyroid gland, protrusion of the eyeballs, increased basal metabolic rate, and severe weight loss. So, if the patient is having the severe weight loss with the protrusion of the eyeballs and the enlargement of the thyroid gland with the increase in basal metabolic rate, due to which the weight is decreasing a lot, so it is basically the symptoms of Graves' disease, and it is the hyperthyroidism. Let's talk about the calcium homeostasis, the push-pull mechanism. We will be learning the calcium homeostasis by the push-pull mechanism. So here is the push and the pull, like a seesaw is shown here. When the calcium is lower in the blood, so thyroid gland secretes a hormone called thyrocalcitonin, TCT, a protein hormone that decreases the blood calcium level. So, when the blood calcium level is high, when the blood calcium level is high, so then the thyroid gland secretes the thyrocalcitonin hormone and it decreases the blood calcium level. So when the thyrocalcitonin is secreted, it lowers the calcium level and give it back to the normal level. Okay. So when the calcium level in the blood is low calcium level in the blood, so to raise the calcium level, parathyroid gland secretes a parathyroid hormone, PTH, a hypercalcemic hormone that triggers bone resorption, demineralization, renal tubular reabsorption, and increased absorption from the digestive food. Because it is in order to increase the calcium level in the blood. Increase the calcium level in the blood, not in the bone. So that's why it is causing the demineralization of the bone. That means it is resorpting the bone so that they can take away the stored calcium from the bones, and also increase the tubular reabsorption of the calcium and increase absorption from the digestive food, so that the blood calcium level can return to the normal. Moving ahead, talking about the thymus gland, the T cell academy. So, talking about the thymus gland, its function is to secrete the peptide hormone called thymosins. Thymosins are basically responsible for cell-mediated and the humoral immunity. Basically, thymus gland is responsible for the immune system of us. It's basically responsible for maintaining our immune system. Cell-mediated immunity, it derives the differentiation of the T lymphocytes. In case of humoral immunity, it promotes the production of antibodies. Aging effect. The gland degenerates in old individuals, decreasing thymosin production and weakening immune responses. Basically, we can see the old age people are having the weakened immune system and immune responses because of the decrease in the size of the thymus gland. So, in childhood, the thymus gland is large in size. In adulthood, it shrinks to a small size, and then in the old age, it shrinks to the smallest one. Moving ahead, let's talk about the adrenal architecture. So, this is an adrenal architecture, the cortex and the medulla. Adrenal gland is divided into cortex and medulla. Similarly, you will be learning in case of the kidney, the cortex and the medulla. In the excretory chapter, you might have heard about it. The cortex and the medulla part, and the juxtamedullary and the cortical nephrons on the base of the cortical and the medullary part. And you also will learn about the cortex and the medulla part in case of the ovaries. We also have the cortex and the medulla part. Moving ahead, adrenal cortex. It is the outer structure. It secretes corticoids divided into 3 layers. We have already talked that glucocorticoids are maintained by the ACTH, adrenocorticotropic hormones. Zona glomerulosa, it is the outermost layer. Zona fasciculata, that is the middle layer, and the zona reticularis, that is the innermost layer. So, if you have to learn about it, you can learn it by G, F, R. Moving from out to in, glomerulosa, fasciculata, and reticularis. Adrenal medulla, it is the inner structure. It's centrally located tissue responsible for rapid emergency responses. Basically, it secretes the catecholamines, that are the emergency hormones, and the example is the adrenaline and noradrenaline. These are also known as the fight or the flight hormones, and basically responsible for the rapid emergency response. Location of adrenal gland is one pair of glands. These are one pairs of glands situated securely at top of each kidney. Basically, we have the 2 kidneys, so adrenal glands are also 2 in number. Adrenal output is stress, fluids, and energy. Medulla, the emergency response. Secretes catecholamines, adrenaline and epinephrine, and the noradrenaline or norepinephrine. It triggers a flight or the fight response. It increases the alertness, pupil dilation, piloerection, and the sweating. Basically, all of us have also faced this situation in our daily lives, like a dog running behind you, and you are afraid of the dogs, and you are running ahead of the dog with full of your efforts to save yourself from dog bite. So this is basically the emergency response only, and caused by the medullary hormone called the catecholamines, adrenaline or the noradrenaline. They basically increase the alertness, pupil dilation to capture the maximum light, and the piloerection. Our body hairs get erect, and sweating. Basically, we started sweating because of the fear. increases heart rate, respiration rate, and the strength of the heart contraction. It stimulates breakdown of glycogen, lipids, and proteins. It also stimulates the breakdown of glycogen, lipids, and proteins. Basically, the lipolysis and the proteolysis. Let's talk about the cortex hormones, the metabolic regulators. Glucocorticoids. It is the cortisol. It regulates carbohydrate metabolism, gluconeogenesis. It is basically the formation of glucose from other sources and the lipolysis breakdown of the lipids. It uses anti-inflammatory reactions and suppresses the immune response. Mineralocorticoids, the most common example of mineralocorticoid is the aldosterone. So basically, aldosterone regulates the water or electrolytes and reabsorption of the sodium in water, excretion of potassium and phosphate, maintains blood pressure. Small amounts of androgenic steroids, pubertal hair growth are secreted by the zona reticularis. These are also called as sex corticoids. What is the role of mineralocorticoids? That is the aldosterone, regulate the water electrolyte reabsorption of the sodium and the water, whereas the excretion of the potassium and the phosphate. It basically acts on the DCT. What is the pathology? Underproduction of the cortex hormones. Cortex hormones like the corticoids alters the carbohydrate metabolism, causing acute weakness and fatigue that is known as the Addison's disease. So if we talk about the deficiency of the cortical hormones of the adrenal gland, it is basically the Addison's disease. Moving ahead, let's talk about the pancreatic homeostasis, the glucose balance. The glucose balance, we might be aware of this as in every house there is a 1 or 2% of suffering from the diabetes mellitus, which is due to the glucose metabolism. Which is due to the disrupted glucose metabolism. So let's talk about anatomy. The endocrine pancreas consists of 1 to 2 million islets of Langerhans. Endocrine part consists of the islets of Langerhans, which are just 1 or 2% of the pancreatic tissue. The rest 99% of the pancreatic tissue is the exocrine part, which secretes the enzymes. So when the blood glucose level, we are talking about the blood glucose homeostasis. When the blood glucose level is low, so to raise the blood glucose, alpha cells secrete the glucagon, a hyperglycemic agent that stimulates glycogenolysis, breakdown of the glycogen to produce the glucose, and the gluconeogenesis, formation of the glucose from other sources. In hepatocytes are the liver cells, while reducing the cellular uptake. Cellular uptake को reduce करेंगे so that glucose can be pumped into the blood to increase the blood glucose level. Because of the decrease in the blood glucose level, so glycogenolysis, breakdown of the glycogen into the glucose, formation of the glucose from other sources in the hepatocytes. So this is basically the function of glucagon, which is the hyperglycemic hormone. So basically hyperglycemic or hypercalcemic means these are causing the increase. These are hypering the glycemic index. Like these are increasing the blood glucose level. So basically when the blood glucose level is low, then they are acting. And when blood glucose level is high, so these the hormones tries to lower the glucose. So which hormone act on is the beta cells secretes the insulin hormone. We are very aware about the insulin hormone. It is a peptide hormone. In biotechnology chapter also you will be getting familiar with the insulin hormone formed of the three polypeptide chains A, B, and C, whereas the C peptide chain is not present in the mature insulin, and the insulin is produced from the E. coli bacteria with the uh, by the American company Eli Lilly in 1983, and you will be learning that previously the insulin was used by the from the slaughtered pigs or cattle, and it causes the allergy in the pupil. So we switched into the recombinant DNA technology. So basically, the insulin hormone, which is normally synthesized by our beta cells of pancreas. So when there is the increase in the blood glucose level, to lower the blood glucose, a hypoglycemic agent that enhances cellular glucose uptake in hepatocytes and adipocytes. Adipocytes are the fat cells, hepatocytes are the liver cells, and stimulates the glycogenesis, formation of the glycogen from the glucose. Pathology: prolonged hyperglycemia, prolonged increase in the blood glucose level due to the due to the abnormal function of the insulin hormone or the beta cells of the pancreatic hormone leads to a diabetes insipidus, glucose loss in urine. It causes the glycosuria, urine turns sweet in taste, and the ketone body formation, that is the ketonuria. There is a fruity smell in the urine and treated with the insulin therapy. We have talked about the recombinant DNA technology. Let's talk about the gonads, the reproduction and the maturation. So, we have basically the two gonads. The testes is present in the males and the ovary are present in the females. Testes are primary sex organ and endocrine glands. They consist of the Leydig cells, which are the interstitial cells in the intertubular spaces, produce androgens because they have been acted by the luteinizing hormone secreted from the anterior pituitary. Primarily, the androgen is the testosterone. It regulates the development and the maturation of the male's accessory sex organs and stimulates the muscular growth, facial, axial hair growth, and the libido. It drives the spermatogenesis and produces an anabolic synthetic effect on protein and carbohydrate metabolism. So it produces an anabolic synthetic effect on the protein and carbohydrate metabolism. That is in case of ovary. It is also the primary sex organ and the endocrine gland. It produces one ovum per menstrual cycle alongside two groups of steroid hormones. The two steroid hormones are estrogen and the progesterone. Estrogen, synthesized by growing follicles, develops secondary sex organs and characteristics, regulates female sexual behavior. Whereas the progesterone, secreted by the corpus luteum, ruptured follicle post-ovulation, supports pregnancy, stimulates alveolar formation and milk secretion in the mammary glands. Moving ahead, let's talk about the peripheral nodes, non-endocrine hormonal producers. So, first one is the heart. The arterial wall of the heart secretes ANF, arterial natriuretic factor. Its function is to decrease the blood pressure via vasodilation when blood pressure is elevated. It basically keeps a check on renin-angiotensinogen system. It basically checks on the RAS system. So it decreases the blood pressure via vasodilation when blood pressure is elevated. Talking about the kidney is also the non-endocrine hormonal producer. Kidney, having the juxtaglomerular cells, secretes erythropoietin hormone. Erythropoietin hormone stimulates the erythropoiesis, that is basically the formation of the red blood cells. We had talked about the erythropoiesis also earlier. In this chapter only, I hope you all remember that we have talked about the erythropoiesis, that is the RBC production in case of our most important gland, that is the thyroid gland. So we have talked about it. It's about the red blood cell formation. That is the erythropoiesis only. Now moving ahead, the third one is the GI tract, gastrointestinal tract. Gastrin, it secretes gastrin. It stimulates gastric glands, HCl, and the maxillary. Whereas the secretin, it stimulates the exocrine pancreas for water and bicarbonate secretion. CCK, that is the cholecystokinin. It stimulates the pancreas and for enzymes in gallbladder for bile. GIP, gastric inhibitory peptide, it inhibits the gastric secretion and motility. Talking about other tissues, secrete various growth factors. Function essential for the normal growth of the tissues, repair and cellular regeneration. Now let's talk about the chemical categorization, the 4 hormone classes. Basically, hormones are divided into 4 main classes. Target interaction receptors are specific to one hormone only, forming a unique hormone receptor complex on or inside the target cell. So basically, the first class of the hormone is the peptide or polypeptide or the protein hormone. Examples are the insulin, glucagon, pituitary hormones, hypothalamic hormones. Talking about the second class, that is steroids. Examples are cortisol, testosterone, estradiol, and progesterone. Progesterone, cortisol, testosterone, and the estradiol. Talking about iodothyronins, that are the thyroid hormones, T3 and the T4, tetraiodothyronin and the triiodothyronin. And fourth class is the amino acid derivatives. The amino acid derivative example is epinephrine, that example is adrenaline. Moving ahead, let's talk about the mechanism. 1. The membrane-bound receptors. The receptors are present on the membrane only. It attaches to peptide and the protein hormones. So what is the process? The receptors are present on the membrane only. The hormone does not have to go inside the cell. So there are no intracellular receptors. The receptors are membrane bound. So let's talk about the process. The primary messenger hormone binds to a specific receptor on the outer surface of the target cell membrane. It does not enter the cell. This binding creates a hormone receptor complex which generates second messengers inside the cytoplasm. Example is the cyclic AMP, IP3, and the calcium. Example of the secondary messengers are cyclic AMP, IP3, and the calcium. Whereas the third step is the second messengers regulate cellular metabolism and ultimately trigger the targeted physiological response. So then all the role is about the secondary messenger. Let's talk about mechanism 2. It is for the intracellular receptors. So which all hormones can go inside the cell? These can be steroid hormones or the iodothyronins. So these can be the steroid hormones or the iodothyronins. So what is the process? The lipid soluble, because these hormones are lipid soluble and the layer of the plasma membrane is the only form of the phospholipid. So the lipid soluble hormone diffuses seamlessly through the cell membrane and enters the target cell's cytoplasm. Second step is the hormone enters the nucleus and binds to the intracellular receptors to form a hormone receptor complex. There is no role of secondary messengers like cyclic AMP, calcium, and IP3. This complex interacts directly with the genome, regulating gene expression and chromosome function to produce long-term physiological and developmental effects. So this hormone directly enters the plasma membrane, then goes into the cytoplasm of the cell, and then go to the receptor in the nucleus, and then form the mRNA and form the protein. So system synthesis, the architecture of integration. Environmental stimulus, stressor, hypothalamus. It is the main command center. It secretes releasing or inhibiting hormone. It secretes a releasing hormone. It stimulates the pituitary gland. That is the relay station. It secretes the hormone to act on the peripheral glands. these are the thyroid, adrenal, or the gonads, etc. Then these glands act on the target cells, mechanism 1 and 2 expression through the intracellular receptors or through the membrane-bound receptors. There is also a feedback mechanism, like the hypothalamus directly can control the target cells, whereas the target cell can send the feedback to the pituitary gland that the hormone is basically increasing or the product is very increased, so they can stop the release, or the product is very low, so they can stimulate the release, and they can also send the feedback to the hypothalamus. The endocrine and the neural systems do not work in isolation. They form a singular joint architecture. From the hypothalamus reading environmental cues to precise hormonal data packets, altering gene expression inside target tissues, every chemical trace is calibrated to achieve total physiological integration and homeostasis. So this was all about this chapter. Thank you for listening me out. I hope you understand the chapter. We will be having a podcast with a special guest covering all your important questions and what all doubts a student may ask during attending this lecture. So I will be very happy to help you in that and recording that podcast with that special guest. So thank you for listening me out and have a great day. Bye.